You can chop this up, cut it up however you want, but when A.J. McCarron, who's an Alabama legend, is saying that we were built different back in the day, and he's basically calling these new players soft, yeah, that's when it starts to become a problem. And I can't even fault him for it because I think he's 100% right. I figured this day would come towards the end of Nick Saban's career, like for example, maybe a year, 2, 3 years right after he retired, or maybe even the last few years he's at Bama. But, and I have a big but, and you guys know this, I never, and I mean never ever for a second, thought we'd be having this conversation about this 2022 Alabama football team. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, it is embarrassing because all of last season, all throughout the summer, all throughout fall, all throughout most of this season, I told you guys I thought this Alabama team was the best team in the country, and I thought they were going to win it all, and it wasn't going to be close. Of course, as the season started to progress on, my opinion slightly changed, and yeah, here we are. With that being said though, don't even try to act like for a second I'm crazy or delusional for thinking this Alabama team was going to win the championship, because everybody had them as their number one team in the offseason. Why is that? Oh yeah, it's rather simple. Because they were so talented. Fast forward in time to our current date, the season is pretty much over for Alabama because they're not competing for a championship, and as we all know, it's championship or bust. The former Alabama players, the alumni, are now criticizing the current players. And let me make this extremely clear, I've seen this stuff going on, but I didn't think too much about it because it was only one player. It was only 2 players, but now it's 3 or 4. When you have one alumni, one former player speak up about it, it's like, okay, yeah, it's concerning, but it's not really a red flag. But when you start to have 2, 3, 4 multiple alumni speak up about it, and let me make this clear, these aren't just any alumni, these were superstars at Alabama. Yeah, it's time to wave the red flag. And I agree with it 7,000% because the players on the team nowadays, they're soft. They are soft, and if you think otherwise, I don't know what to tell you. That's not me trying to throw some shots and shade at my Alabama players. You know I love you guys, but it's the cold hard truth. Compared to our 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 teams, you're way softer, and everybody knows that. We've got to talk about what these Bama players said, and also, I meant to talk about this in a video earlier today, but we didn't have time. We got to talk about CJ Stroud and what's going on there. It's safe to say that Stroud is not happy with how the media is treating his star wide receiver, and he spoke up about it. Per usual, it's going to be a jam-packed video, but real quick, we are only 5,000, we're actually less than 5,000 subscribers away from 260K. We're trying to hit 260K before Christmas, and there's a ton of new people coming to the channel every single day, and you're not subscribed. If you do want to help us reach our goals, we would love to have you a part of our football community, and also to all the new subscribers we've gained recently, and all the old subscribers, I greatly appreciate y'all. From everybody that comments, watches, likes, all the little stuff, I pay attention to it, trust me, and you make the channel what it is, and I appreciate that. Don't want to be sappy and corny, but thank you once again for the continuous support. All right, Matt, blah, 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 shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. First thing is first, I do want to bring this up because it is worth mentioning and throwing in there. Ohio State star wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's been dealing with a ton of injuries all throughout the season. Well, not really a ton, but it was more so a hamstring injury. And a lot of people thought he could have came back for the Michigan game. He didn't. And now with Ohio State making the playoff, it was almost certain to a lot of people he was going to be back for the Georgia game. However, to make an extremely long story short, we've already spoke about this, he's declared he's going to the NFL draft. I've already explained why he did that and talked about it. If you want to know why, go check out some previous other videos. All you need to know is that he got a lot of backlash for this. People like Todd McShay, who works for ESPN, and a lot of NFL scouts out there, they're saying that Jackson Smith-Njigba, he was being selfish by not playing in the bowl game, which is a championship game, or not a championship game, but a playoff game. I think a lot of us were in the same boat. I know a lot of you, you're old school and you don't like quitters. You think all the players should play in the bowl games, and I get that 100%. In my humble opinion, if you're not playing in the playoff game and you're a first-round pick, I don't think you should, and me personally, I wouldn't play in a meaningless Sugar Bowl or any bowl game. For example, Tennessee star wide receiver Jalen Hyatt, he won the Biletnikoff. He's not even playing in a New Year's Six Bowl. Why is he not playing in it? Because it's not really a big-time game. The bottom line is, if you're not in the playoff, the games don't mean as much. This situation was a little bit different, though, because Jackson Smith-Njigba, his team's in the playoff, and yet he decided he's going to forego that and go to the NFL draft, which is totally fine in my opinion. I don't fault the guy, but he got a lot of backlash for it. With all the criticism that he was receiving, about a day ago, CJ Stroud, he got tired of it, and here's what he had to say.
I know that people were talking about how he should play, and y'all have no idea the stuff that he's been through this year, like no clue. So who are people to talk about my brother like that? You know what I mean? So it kind of gets me a little angry that people try to make it seem like he's not a team player and that he doesn't care about his teammates. That's the total opposite wrong. I'm on the phone with him every day. House practice, bro. I'm watching film. I'm doing this. helping out the young receivers. He helped out Marv so much this year. He helped out Mac, those dudes who had to step up. Same with Trey, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's unfair for people to kind of try to ridicule Jackson or Trey or anybody who's out with injury, because that's the worst part of this game.
Let me know how y'all feel about that down below. I do agree with him from this standpoint where he's talking about all these people that criticize and ridicule all these college athletes when most of them are 45-year-olds eating cheesy puffs on the couch who have never played a sport in their life. As a former athlete myself, I've dealt with some serious injuries, and I know firsthand that sometimes they heal quicker than normal and sometimes they take longer to heal. But the public out there and people who have never played a sport in their life, they don't understand that. They look up on Google, okay, how long does it take for a hamstring injury to heal? They see, oh, well, it's 8 to 12 weeks. He should be back and blah, 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 blah. There's a lot more to it to that, and I think that's what CJ Stroud was trying to come off and say. But don't tell Ohio State fans that, because check out this conversation between two of them. This Ohio State fan said, you can't have the fan base we do and not take criticism. If it hurts your feelings, go play for Marshall. And under that, somebody replied, or maybe the fan base needs to understand that these are kids and they can't be perfect. And I found this comment the most interesting. This is also coming from an Ohio State fan. He's tired of us, and I don't blame him. Our fans can be the worst. I will strongly back those claims because Ohio State fans are some of the most obnoxious people out there. I've never seen anything like it. I see Ohio State fans bragging all the time, hyping themselves up, and yet in their most recent game, they got embarrassed at home by 20+ points. It blows my mind, but I do have to remind some of y'all out there, with every fan base, you're going to have your bad eggs. You can pick out any college football team in the country and find bad fans. That's just a way of life. To put it into a better perspective, you can pick out any city in the country, and there's going to be good people in that city, and there's also going to be bad people. So you see where I'm going with this. It's not so much of, oh, Ohio State's the only fan base with bad fans. They're in every fan base. Moving on to our second topic. Only going to talk about this for 30 seconds because I want to get into this Bama stuff. So apparently, well, it's not apparently, it's true. Drew Brees, y'all know who Drew Brees is. He's a NFL legend. He has now been hired as an interim assistant coach at Purdue. There's nothing really too much to say about it. I just found it interesting because that's the last news I thought I'd hear today. But finally, moving on to the main topic of the main encore, the main reason you clicked onto this video, we got to talk about what's going on in T-Town. Hey man, it is never a dull day in T-Town. And hold on. What about this? Can the basketball team, that Alabama basketball team, get some love? They're in the top 4. At least one of the teams are in the top 4. Fire Bill O'Brien. Okay, I know what you're saying, Matt. Shut the crap up. Talk about football. Yeah, I hear you. So just within the past couple of months, Trent Richardson, former star Alabama running back, and Bo Scarborough, former Alabama star running back, they've been talking about this Alabama team a lot. I'm not going to dive in too much into what they've said. If you're keeping up with Alabama, you know they've just been taking some subtle jabs at these players. For example, I think Bo Scarborough said this team's soft. He said this team shouldn't have players enter the transfer portal. They're having too many guys opt out for the bowl game and blah, 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 blah. And Trent Richardson has also made it clear that Bryce Young should come back next season because he didn't win a national championship and it's going to taunt his legacy at Alabama. The reason I bring that up is because basically all you need to know is that Trent Richardson and Bo Scarborough, former Alabama running backs, have been saying this Alabama team, they don't have the integrity and morals like former teams. That's debatable. I'll leave that up for you to talk about in the comment section. Not even going to speak on that. I respect those guys a ton, take nothing away from them. But those two guys saying what they said, it didn't, what's the phrase I'm looking for? It didn't raise my eyebrow. Or is it raise my eyebrows? I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say. However, in the past 2 days, 2 Alabama legends, not just stars, but legends, they came out and they've spoken about the team. And yeah, this did raise my eyebrows. Let's just get into it. It's not a lot, but it's telling. First things first, Reggie Ragland said, word for word, tell them who don't want to stay to get the heck on. You may be wondering, Matt, why did he say this? What's he talking about? Well, he's referring to the transfer portal. As most of you know, we've covered this. Alabama's had like 15, I think it's over 15 guys enter the portal, and it's like 4 or 5 of the best wide receivers on the team, they've left. Remember, we made a video on it 3 or 4 days ago. Out of the entire 2021 wide receiver recruiting class, there's only 1 guy left on the team. And the strangest part about it is it's not your second and third stringers that just want to play. We're seeing starting offensive linemen leave, and we're seeing starting wide receivers leave. The biggest thing I've been concerned with as a Bama fan, and I've told all you Bama fans to be concerned with, is you're seeing starters leave, and you don't see that every single year. Ever since the transfer portal opened up and happened, yeah, you're going to see 8 to 10 guys leave, but out of those 8 to 10, 7 or 8 of them, they don't even play whatsoever. But now with this Alabama team, you're seeing guys that were playing a lot. You're seeing guys that were producing a lot. They're leaving. That's the mind-boggling part, and I'm in the same boat as Reggie Ragland. If you enter the transfer portal, although that doesn't mean you're going to leave and you can technically come back to Bama, No, if you enter the portal, if I'm Saban, I'm telling them, once you get in that portal, you're not coming back. It's the same mentality if a girl's choosing between you or some other guy and she can't decide. I'll give you a great example and put it into a perspective so me and you can relate. It's the equivalent to a girl that's choosing between you or your best friend, and she's like, hey, it's nothing against you, but I'm gonna go on a date with your best friend just to see if I like it a little bit more. And hey, if I don't like it, don't go anywhere because I'll come back. You see what I'm saying? I can't speak for you because I know there is going to be some people out here that would be okay with that, but not me. I'm not a second option. If you even consider going on a date with another man, you can just have them because I'm not a backup plan. So yes, what Reggie Ragland said, and Reggie Ragland is one of the best linebackers Alabama's ever had, I agree with it 10,000%. I also value what Reggie Ragland says because many of you probably know this. He doesn't speak up a lot. He's not in the social media realm. To go on top of that, about a day ago as well, A.J. McCarron, once again Alabama legend, not a star, a legend, said Alabama players back in his day were built different. Okay, what do you think about that? I mean, you don't gotta be a rocket scientist to figure out that A.J. McCarron is calling these current players soft. You can say what you want about A.J. McCarron, but he is Alabama football. When you think of the Nick Saban dynasty, A.J. McCarron has to come to your mind. A.J. McCarron is really the guy that got the ball rolling. I know Greg McElroy, he won the first championship, but Greg wasn't that good, no disrespect. A.J. McCarron went back to back and he made big time plays and big time throws all the time. He's just a guy who myself, I'm always going to be so grateful for. Not only was he a good football player for Alabama and a good quarterback, he represented Alabama in a fantastic way. I say all that to say this. Trust me, A.J. McCarron and Reggie Ragland, they know what it takes. For those of you that really know Alabama football, I'm sure you're going to remember this. Do y'all remember when A.J. McCarron, he came in mop-up duty and he made a terrible decision or play? I can't remember exactly what happened, but when he was walking off to the sideline, Nick Saban spanked him. If that would have happened in the modern day of college football, that said player would have sued the head coach and probably entered the portal within 35 seconds. Whoa. Hold on. It doesn't just stop there. Here's where things really start to get interesting. A lot of people in these comments, they're making fair points. Check them out. One Bama fan has stated, he's absolutely right. There has been a drop-off in toughness over the past few years, and I agree. But here's the interesting one. They didn't cut and run just because they didn't get immediate playing time or were intimidated by the new #1 class coming in. And this person is referring to back when A.J. McCarron was playing. But under that, somebody replied, no, they just didn't have the opportunity because the portal rules were different. That's a fair point because let's just say, for example, these transfer portal and name, image, and likeness rules were put into effect in 2010. You'd see the same stuff going on now, going on back then. I think the main difference is, back then, you didn't have the luxury to get upset about, hey, I'm not starting, so I'm just going to transfer and play right away. Because in 2010, 2011, 2012, when A.J. McCarron was there, you had to fight it out. You couldn't just leave or else you'd have to sit down a season. You see what I'm saying? I think it's more so of in 2022, the mentality of players have changed. But with that being said, since the mentality has changed, so has the toughness level. Because now if you're not starting, you can throw a hissy fit and leave right away. And there is literally no punishment about it whatsoever. There's not a punishment. You can start right away. I don't mean start right away. I mean play right away for a different team. You can chop this up, cut it up however you want. But when A.J. McCarron, who's an Alabama legend, is saying that we were built different back in the day, and he's basically calling these new players soft, yeah, that's when it starts to become a problem. And I can't even fault him for it because I think he's 100% right. I'll put it this way and we'll end off the video here. When your alumni start to speak up about things, that's when you know it's gotten to the breaking point. Things have got to change at Alabama, but I'm not telling you something you didn't know. Everybody knows this. We got to get back to our old ways. It's plain and simple. I'm very curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. Bye.